Welcome, everyone, to the Shumash Casino in Santa Ynez, California. We have one fight on the card for the prelims tonight as we go live on UFC Fight Pass at the top of the hour for A1 Combat 28. Johnny LaQuasta here alongside the great TJ DeSantis. And, of course, we're going to have fight analyst and head coach of MMA Gold, Jim West, join us as well. And we have a heavy, heavy night of fights in store.
Absolutely, you know, and it's a fitting place for this to take place as A1 Combat hits Shumash for the first time. They call it the Valley of Dreams, Johnny, and a few of these athletes hope to make some dreams come true tonight live on UFC Fight Pass.
No doubt about that, but without further ado, we go live on UFC Fight Pass very soon. Let's get to our one fight on the prelims. Right now, we're going to kick it to the voice of A1 Combat, Mr. Garrett Fertig.
We introduce first, Steve O'Brien.
The Boogeyman, Steve O'Brien, walks to the cage tonight for the first time since May of 2024, and he told us yesterday he really feels completely renewed. He scored a first-round knockout in only 12 seconds in his debut, but he's fallen short in his last two fights. But TJ, he said he discovered he had a bit of a breathing condition, and it drastically affected his conditioning.
Yeah, and, you know, looking at those last two fights, you mentioned they were second-round fights where the stoppage occurred, and by the time he got there, he was just saying he didn't have a really good breath. He wasn't able to get any oxygen out of the air that he was breathing. And, you know, this guy has been an athlete his entire life, played football, and now has made the transition to martial arts. And it's fitting his nickname is the Boogeyman. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, Johnny, but I feel like you stand next to him and he's taller than that.
I honestly thought he was 6'5" when he walked over to us, but he is only 6'2", and you mentioned, yeah, he was a two-position athlete for Valparaiso University, safety and wide receiver. So he was shocked when he realized he was having conditioning issues, and now a staple in his daily regimen is 2 to 3 hours of breathing exercises. And, you know, we asked him, we said, well, have you had albuterol treatments or any kind of breathing respiratory treatment? He said, no, I just learned how to control things on my own, and that's really incredible that he's been able to do that. He feels like a completely new fighter.
And he's going to put it to the test, too. It's all good to, you know, improve your quality of life, but now he's going to enter the cage tonight and hope that it's all sorted out, because the worst thing you can feel in a fight is tired.
Well, he said, one thing you can guarantee, I will not get gassed in this fight. Let's go back to Garrett Fertig for his opponents.
Making his professional debut, Roman Guillen.
A major life moment for this homegrown talent. After going 7-4 as an amateur, with 9 of his amateur fights taking place inside of a 559 fights cage, including multiple title victories, Ace Roman Guillen makes his professional debut. And TJ, this guy had a plethora of dominant performances throughout his career as an amateur.
This sport has grown so much over the last 10, 15, 20 years, and one thing that has grown the most is the amateur scene. And when you think about what you're doing at the end of the day inside a mixed martial arts cage, you want to have all the experience you can before you turn pro. And this young man, he's learned a lot about himself as an amateur, and now we get to see the complete package, take the cage for the very first time as a pro. And, you know, there's a lot of big changes when you move into the professional ranks. It's no longer 3-minute rounds. You're afforded more weapons, and, you know, he was pretty good without some weapons. We'll see what happens when the proverbial gloves come off while he puts on gloves for the first time as a pro.
Well, patience is also certainly a virtue as a professional. He had 5 first-round finishes as an amateur. As we check out the tail of the tape here between these two fighters in our opening prelim contest. Pro debut for Roman Guillen, 1-2 for Steve O'Brien. 10-year senior is O'Brien, both coming in at 6-1, although O'Brien a little bit closer to 6'2", and O'Brien coming in just a pound less than Roman Guillen. 176-pound catch-weight fight for the official announcement. Let's go back to Garrett Fertig.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the A1 Combat 28 prelim, streaming live on YouTube from the Shumash Casino Resort. We kick off this evening with 3 5-minute rounds at a contract weight of 176 pounds. We now introduce to you first the blue corner. At 6'1", Tipping the scales at 175 1/4 pounds, he enters the A1 combat cage with a 1-2 professional record, training with Saxon Muay Thai and School BJJ from Los Angeles, California, Steve the Boogeyman O'Brien. And now we introduce his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the Punch Edibles red corner. Also standing 6'1", weighing in 176 pounds, he steps in making his professional debut, bringing a solid 6-4 amateur record with 5 finishes. Training out of Madero Martial Arts, he fights out of Madero, California, Roman Ace Guillen. Your referee, Frank Trigg.
Mr. Frank Trigg draws the assignment for this prelim bout. TJ O'Brien tells us, you know, he trains consistently in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and boxing. Whereas Guillen, you know, he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but he said, look, I would like to trade strikes with this guy.
We'll see if that's the case. But, you know, looking at the natural elements of O'Brien, you know, we talked about his athletic background. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, what he can do with that length and if it's something he calls upon here early. And looks like he's got a willing dance partner here.
No doubt about that, and willing is an understatement. Roman Guillen jumps right on with a plethora of strikes. O'Brien not even covering up and back to his feet. That was almost a very quick finish.
And he just bit down on the mouthpiece and ate all those shots to get back up.
He really did, and Guillen had a couple of very clean strikes. Powerful combination, and he goes back to work. Another right hand lands. O'Brien showing a lot of durability here.
Yeah, heart on display here early. We're only 40 seconds into this one, and he's been rocked at least 2 or 3 times.
Well, I was about to say, Guillen has certainly been the more active fighter. This is O'Brien's first fight in just over a calendar year, and, you know, Guillen certainly has a game plan here in the opening moments.
Yeah, it's all aggression. He's not afraid to take a couple of shots to give some, and, you know, he's got his opponent hurt pretty badly here, but it looks like O'Brien's still hanging in there.
He's hanging in there, but the quickness advantage by a wide margin is going to Guillen here early on compared to O'Brien, the southpaw. O'Brien looking to create a little distance with that jab, but
yeah, O'Brien's starting to find some range here through that kick to the body. You know, he's comfortable here after eating a lot of tough shots early that would put a lot of other men out.
O'Brien told us after learning all these breathing exercises, even his sinuses have cleared up. And he said he's in better shape now than even back in his college football days, whereas Guillen feels supremely confident here over the first 2 minutes.
You wonder, a little bit of a slip there.
Oh!
O'Brien coming in and eating a hard little right hand for his trouble.
O'Brien didn't quite pounce in as fast as he would have liked, and like you said, Guillen seems to have an answer for everything early on.
We've seen a lot here as we just get to the halfway point of this opening round, and you wonder for Guillen when we get past that 3 minutes of elapsed time.
Oh, wow. The jumping knee! Guillen is showing everything in his arsenal. Powerful strikes, throwing some leg kicks, and that flash knee landed as well, but now O'Brien looking to take down Guillen, and he does successfully.
And if you're Guillen, you got to feel a little dejected. I mean, what do you got to do to get this guy out of there? He rocked him early, landed a nice flying knee there, and now he finds himself on his back with under 2 minutes remaining here in this opening round.
And these strikes are landing very clean as O'Brien able to get the full mount here. Can he finally get some offense? Looking for an arm triangle.
Let's see if he wants to break off to the side here.
Oh, just like that!
Wow!
Steve O'Brien withstands the onslaught of the debuting Roman Guillen and locks in the head and arm choke. My goodness, TJ.
You know, I thought he was going to have to break off to the side there and leave that mount to wrap it up, but no, he was able to do it. And just so impressive, the heart on display what he's been through cardiovascularly, getting that taken care of, coming back for a long layoff, and back in the win column in a huge way.
Well, O'Brien told us, along with his conditioning, he's become a much better grappler. He said, look, my entire life now has become jiu-jitsu, and that really was the case. He withstood so many clean shots from Guillen, and the moment he was able to take him down, he achieved full mount rather quickly, and the head and arm choke also rather quickly as we check out the closing moments here.
Yeah, in this mount, you see he wraps up this arm triangle, and a lot of people have to drop off to the side of the body where the head is to really get that good squeeze and get the posture. And you see Guillen, he tried to hip bump there, but forced a tap, and yeah, he was going to go to sleep if he didn't.
Guillen did not put himself in the correct position there the moment he got stuck in the full mount, and credit to Steve O'Brien. Tremendous resilience and grit to score the first round submission victory, quite frankly, in a fight that he would have lost that first round.
Yeah, absolutely, no question about that. And, you know, we talked about his breathing issues. Getting hit and getting hurt, that can take a lot out of you cardiovascularly. He looked great. I mean, definitely don't want to get hit like that if you can avoid it, but he ate it and gave some back and ultimately scores that submission.
Jim West, that was a very, very quick finish to that fight.
You know, I was just going to say, if it actually got in between rounds, Roman, I would have told him, hey, you need to actually stop trying to hit the home run.
Yeah.
Go for base hits, slow yourself down. And then Brian, on the other end, he did what was necessary, try to slow this young kid down, take his athleticism away. And unfortunately, the inexperience, I think, got to Roman in this one.
No question about that. For the official announcements, let's go back to Garrett Fertig.
The head arm choke brings on the tap. Official time, 3 minutes, 22 seconds of the very first round. Declaring your winner by submission, Steve the Boogeyman O'Brien.
What a moment for the Boogeyman Steve O'Brien. It's been a long journey for him, waiting over a year to get back in the cage following 2 successful defeats in which he said he didn't have the endurance to continue in those fights. And it's been a long, hard process for him. But tonight, massive moment as he walks away with a first round submission with the head and arm choke. That'll do it for our prelim fight as we go back to check out some of the highlights.
And there were highlights, to say the least. O'Brien coming back after a long battle with the cardio issues, and he had a battle early, Johnny LaQuasto. Guillen trying to get his pro debut into the win column within the first 30 seconds. And again, if it's another man not named Stephen O'Brien, they might have gone down and not gotten back up. He was on a mission tonight, eats a hard flying knee. Then he got this opportunity to get on top here, made the most of these strikes from mount. Guillen trying to make some space, unable to do so. Gets his arm wrapped up there, head and arm choke. There's the tap.
And as we check out the replay there, you know, O'Brien was really in danger of the official stepping in the opening moments there. There were some very powerful strikes, but he was able to withstand everything and was the dominant grappler in the end, scoring the first round submission victory. And that will do it for our prelim bout. But coming up tonight, live on UFC Fight Pass, A1 Combat 28, our main event. Classic Cody Vogels and Hollywood Shane Collins battle for the vacant featherweight title. 2 homegrown stars, 2 very deserving men will main event tonight. Cannot wait for that. So many other fights with title implications as well. So please join us tonight, UFC Fight Pass, for A1 Combat 28. Thanks for joining us here live on YouTube. We'll see you soon.